Jane did a terrific job, and I just think what she and her bank is doing is just so incredibly important for the Commonwealth. And it's one of many different reasons why Virginia is the #1 state to do business in and business with in the country. And if you spend 30 seconds around Governor McDonald, he will tell you that 5 times. He's very proud of that, and Jane has a lot to do with that. I apologize because I wasn't able to be here over the past 2 days. I was actually down in Austin, Texas, speaking at South by Southwest. For those of you who are familiar with South by Southwest and the conference and festival that goes on down there, it really brings about 25,000 different entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, tech executives, music enthusiasts, all down converging in Austin, Texas for a handful of days of some revolutionary thinking, some great idea generation, a couple drinks, some pretty good music, and good barbecue as well. Not as good as Virginia barbecue, though, by the way. But it's really terrific to be here at my alma mater, a place that I love so much and is so near and dear to my heart. But it's for a conference on social entrepreneurship in the very birthplace of the original disruptors, of the original social entrepreneurs. I mean, let's think about it. 319 years ago, some of the greatest entrepreneurs known to Western civilization showed up right here and tried to figure out, how do we make a new way? How do we talk about new capitalism. How do we make a new economy? How do we make better lives for ourselves? And it's neat because there's a certain energy that you get when you talk to entrepreneurs. Again, down at South by Southwest, 1,000,001 different entrepreneurs, some better than others, all looking for capital and trying to create dreams out there. And there's a very positive vibe around the whole thing. And I'm an optimist, and I love that. But I think it's important to remember that discomfort, actually some of the greatest ideas and some of the most successful companies come out of discomfort. Meaning, let's go back 319 plus years ago. Our forefathers and foremothers didn't show up here because everything was fantastic on the home front, right? It's because they were being thrown in prison or put on the rack for what they believed. It's because maybe they came from a family of some means, but they were number 4 on the depth chart. And their older brother, God bless, the whole thing was being left to him, and he's insufferable. And I'm not going to have a life unless I hop a boat and try to make a name for myself in a fairly risky place. So I think it's really important that while we focus on all the positive things, that some of the best ideas come from friction. For music fans out here, Adele cleaned up at the Grammys. If she didn't have that really nasty breakup, do you think that album would have come out? No. So a little bit of pain goes a long way. As Mark was so kind to talk a little bit about what I've done in my past, currently I'm the CEO of Disruptor Capital, and before I started a scrappy little startup out of my apartment in Washington, D.C., and then moved it to Virginia, and we became, in 1999, the first social media marketing company in the country, if not the world. So we had a lot of people had no idea what we were talking about at the time. We went and looked for venture capital, couldn't get it. And that's when venture capital was really flowing like water out there. But what we were talking about and what we were suggesting, that the internet actually makes people talk to each other, and they communicate about ideas or movies they like or companies and brands they like, and it's important to pay attention to what's being said out there, and you can actually have a voice back. It really didn't jive with the business models that were being put in front of VCs at the time, but fortunately, I relied on really what they call in investing the 3 Fs. Does anyone know who the 3 Fs are? All right, you've heard the shtick before, right? Okay. Friends, families, and fools who really helped finance my dreams and helped launch that company. And if you think about the 2 names of the companies that I have now, Disruptor Capital, and then New Media Strategies, I like names of companies that keep me focused, that are mission focused. I remember sitting across a boardroom from someone probably about 7 years ago. Big boardroom. I put my business card down. The guy pulled it up, stared at it for a second, flipped it over, read it back to me and said, New Media Strategies. That's either the smartest or the stupidest name for a company I've ever seen. And you know what? The guy was right. When you work in technology, when you work in social media, which is an industry that really changes every 3 months, and you name your company New Media Strategies, you better innovate. You better not allow yourself to be lapped. So we used that really as a calling cry to help make sure that we're innovating at every single moment. Disruptor Capital, we invest in disruptive companies, in technology, in marketing services, and actually public affairs as well. It helps keep us focused. So when we start to stray, we go back and say, wait a minute, our name is Disruptor Capital. If we were going with an also-ran, we're probably not doing our job right. So again, I like things that are a bit self-descriptive. I want to talk quickly with you about impact investing, but I want to take a little bit of a different angle than Jane and focus really on the things that we look at when we're investing and the most important things that we believe when we're placing our capital down. And first and foremost, when you're analyzing companies or ideas, it's the talent. Talent matters most. I don't care if you're building semiconductors. If you don't have the proper talent leading that team, you're sunk. And I'd rather have a C idea and an A person than have an A idea and a mediocre management team around it. So you need, as you're either on the ground or lifting off, what's your team look like? Do you have the best folks out there? I'm a guy, I like sports, like football a lot, and I actually think it's really interesting from a business model perspective, and this is what I tried to emulate at New Media Strategies, is I actually had our head of finance also be our VP of HR. Because you look around, and while we're in the technology business, we would live or die based off of our people. That's it. Human capital, most of our assets went down the elevator shaft every single day. And we had to do everything we can to motivate them beyond a paycheck to come back in the door. So I look at the NFL, and in an NFL organization, yes, you have your quarterback is a big, pretty important person on the team. Your left tackle, the blind side, second highest paid player on the team. But if you look at their organization, it's the GM. Or in other terms, the VP of player personnel. What does that mean in business terms? That's your VP of HR. They're in charge of all of the vast majority of the expenditures of your team, and you will live or die based on your players. So talent is just so important. Secondly, what we really look for in impact investing is a vision. What is your mission as a company? What are you trying to do as an organization, whether you're a nonprofit or a for-profit? Are you looking, in the case of my company, Disruptor, are you looking to be disruptive in your industry? Are you looking, when we talked about having discomfort, are you looking to solve a problem? And if you look at nonprofits that really, really are successful, or for-profits that are successful over a 10, 15-year period of time, 9 times out of 10, they're the organization that's trying to do a greater good. They're not just trying to turn a profit. They're not just trying to, hey, let's make our management team and our employees rich. It's that they see an inefficiency in the marketplace, and they have a mission to solve it. Thirdly, is really, do they have a vision for the culture? Back to the talent part of things, back to the assets of your company or your nonprofit really being the people that are driving the train. Do these entrepreneurs know what they're going to do when they get Jane's capital, when they get my capital? Or do they have a plan on how this team is going to come together? And usually that's where entrepreneurs are the weakest. They're so focused on their elevator pitch and making sure that they're going to wow you with the proper buzzwords, or that they have this terrific deck that they spend a good chunk of change and it's really sexy and interactive and all those things. But when you ask them, okay, look, say you get the $5 million that you're going after, what are you going to do with it? Well, they'll show you that they're going to beef up their sales team and they're going to do some unbelievable marketing campaign that's going to make them a household name. But what they usually can't tell you is what talent specifically, who are the players that they want out there on the field, and how are they going to motivate these folks? So really, talent, vision as far as a mission for the company, and vision for the culture of that company. And lastly, is something that we look to gut check ourselves, is it in our power alley? The real enemy for entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, or for-profit entrepreneurs is distraction. There were 1,000,001 times when we were this scrappy little startup in social media that no one had ever really heard of before, and they didn't really understand that term. There are 1,000,001 opportunities for us to get into all sorts of different kinds of marketing and advertising, and you can have an event team, Pete, and it would have all taken us off of our core mission. It would have taken away the greatest thing that made us really our core differentiator. So stay within your power alley. So that's why when I left New Media Strategies and started Disruptor, I wanted to make sure that I understood who I was, which is I'm not a finance guy. I was a government major at William & Mary, okay? I am an entrepreneur and a marketer, and that's what we're going to focus on at Disruptor. Of those two power alleys, can we look at companies in technology, marketing services, public affairs, that have a marketing problem, obviously need capital, but as an entrepreneur, there are things that we can tinker around with, or lessons that I've learned that we can help make this management team better. So those are a couple quick tips on impacting investing that I think you and hope you all can use on the roundtables. Lastly, just because we stand on the shoulders of giants here on the campus of William & Mary, and when we're walking into the Mason Center and you get to walk by statues of our founding fathers, there's some great quotes that I love. That Jefferson, hard work and luck. Harder I work, the luckier I get. I think we've all probably heard that one before. But again, I'm a dude. I like sports, and I was hit in the face by one a little bit earlier this year. I don't know if you all know that right around championship weekend in the NFL, there were a lot of stories because there were two brothers that are coaches. Obviously, we have a lot of good coaching lineage here at William & Mary with Mike Tomlin and 1,000,001 other absolute all-stars out there. But the Harbaugh brothers, the coach of the Baltimore Ravens and the coach of the San Francisco 49ers, both made it to their championship games. And it was the first time in the history of the NFL, and I think the history of sports, that two brothers were coaches and made it all the way to the finals of their conferences. And I started to think, because I'm an entrepreneur and I love to kind of get behind and figure out why things happen. What drove this person? What was the idea? How did they get to be successful, or how did they fail, or what have you? And I really wanted to figure out what happened in that household. Well, and sure enough, their father was a coach. And their father, I read up on him and what he did with his boys, and every single day, before the boys would go out and go to school, he would get in their grill. He would get right in their face, right before they left the door, and he would say, "Son, go out there and attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind." Who the hell says that? Go out there and attack this day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. No wonder they were successful. And, we all can't be whistling zippity-doo-dah during our jobs every single day. I have up days and bad days, but I remember, per the culture comment earlier, the first day I had my first employee, my first investor called me up and said, "Pete, it all changes tomorrow." I said, What are you talking about? I've been planning for this for all changes tomorrow. You are, as a leader, a human barometer. And you can either bring people up by 5 degrees when they walk in the door, or because you're in a foul mood, bring them down. And there's no going back now. Every single one of you, if you're a social entrepreneur in your organization, is an agent for change, and you're a human barometer. Use that. Use your skills, use your talents, and go out there and attack these roundtables with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Thank you.